Welcome back. Mr. John Oloyede joins us next. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Oloyede.
Yes, sir.
Very quick one.
Yes.
The President has signed a document which, based on the conversation we had with the last guest, is flawed. Does that make it illegal?
Well, the budget as it stands is an act of parliament. I know that in the realm of law, one of the major grounds for setting aside any action is fraud. Once there's an allegation of fraud, once it's investigated and it's confirmed to be that there's been a fraud, yes, anything done, any document, that emanated from that conduct can always be set aside. But you see, the budget is a very serious issue. You will notice that there's a new word in the Nigerian lexicon, padding and padding and padding. When we were growing up, we used to know of ladies' blouses with pads on their shoulders. But padding has taken a new dimension, a la Nigeria. You see, we're not really, let's remove padding. Before coming in, I was discussing with a senior citizen, and we're saying, look, there's no offense known to Nigerian law called padding. You remember the Bode George case. His conviction was set aside because the offense for which he was convicted was not known to Nigerian law. So, exactly.
Sorry if I may interject.
Yes.
Someone says there's no no offense called goat stealing, but goat thieves are jailed. How does that tie?
No, nothing like goat stealing, but they're stealing.
Okay, so the stealing is...
stealing is there. That's the operative word. Okay. But don't add goat to it. You stole a goat. So now you have a situation where self-confessed fraudsters, people, the National Assembly, they are all coming on air to say we padded. No, they did not pad, they forged. And forgery is known to Nigerian law. And it is nauseating that, all these guys are coming on air and different camps boasting and saying, padding means, according to dictionary.com, this is padding. A legal dictionary, this is what padding means. No. And that's what we're talking about, strengthening the institutions. This is not a situation where Mr. President should take any action. This is a situation where, for instance, if the police was strong enough, all these people should be in handcuffs. From the person making the allegations to the person sitting as speaker in the House of Reps, all of them should be in handcuffs. Why is it that the institutions that are supposed to curb crime, they find it so easy to go after ordinary Nigerians in respect of stealing goats, like you said? But when these self-confessed criminals come on air to say, I'm a thief, I forged the Nigerian budget. We forged it, we are all accomplices. Nobody is talking. They are waiting for petition from one of those who forged.
Let's take it a little further, because if, as you say, they should be in handcuffs, one wonders, what offense will can they be accused of having committed? Because if what they do on that floor is covered by immunity, can they be arrested?
Look, when you say that the immunity again, there comes immunity again. Now, you are not immune from prosecution for committing an act of fraud, a crime. You do not say, I'm immune for deliberations. First of all, it is arguable that what was done, all these things that were included, were done on the floor of the House. They were not deliberated upon. Okay, they were inserted.
Okay.
And they were approved on the floor.
No, they are approved. So, for instance, you see, there are crimes that you can actually break down. For instance, the insertion. Where was it done? When was it done? Are you with me? It means the document that was presented on the floor of the House had been forged before it was presented. Yes.
No, Mr. Oloyede, it had been forged, presented.
Yes.
And the members sat down and looked at it.
Yes.
And according to what he said, the speaker said, let it go. And they all said, okay. Does that still take it out?
Even a court of law cannot ratify forgery.
But what is forgery here? Because let's not forget it. Look, if they're politicians,
yes,
and then they have that business of constituency allowances, allocations, they lobby amongst themselves. Maybe according to them, depends on how you play your politics, you get more allocation to your constituency. If that were the case, assuming that were the case, and then they bring back those same documents to the House, and the entire House approves it, can it be said to be forgery?
It is still forgery. First of all, this issue of constituency allowance, constituency projects, I don't see the provisions for such in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's a practice. It's a practice. Something that, oh, this is how we do it. And that's always the problem. It's always been business as usual, business as usual. Buhari comes and says, oh, things have got to change. There will be no constituency projects. I remember that. All those rubbish, with the things you use to siphon money, conduits, I'm going to block all of them. This is one of them. So, constituency projects, the executive reserves the right to make budget proposals. They are to make provision for projects for all the 774 local governments in Nigeria. If the federal government, if the executive feels that a particular local government or a particular state does not deserve a particular project this year, then so be it. Now, the right of the House of Assembly is to look at the proposal. It is not to change anything, to change a line or to cross the bottom line. It is to say, okay, this proposal, we cannot adopt it after deliberations. We've deliberated. We can't adopt it as such. And then you make your own suggestions and return it to the executive. So the executive will then bring in all those things. The job of budget proposal is within the exclusive preserve of the executive.
So what if they have this 100 million that is usually allocated to them?
Yes.
And within that 100, they move things around. Is that allowed?
They can, if they move it around, they have to return it to the executive.
Yeah, they just put it in different
properly.
Constituencies. Maybe, of course, some get more than the others.
What I'm saying is you don't alter the document. You don't alter the budget as proposed. You have to give it back to the person saddled with that responsibility to do the alteration. And then he brings it back. It is even arguable. I mean, what I have said it. This constituency project is a means of stealing. They use it to eat, chop our yam, right? That's what they do with it. Why, for instance, the fight here is not really about honor. It's not about dignity. It's not about principles. It is about you are trying to eat more than I am eating. We had an understanding, and since you are not ready to allow me get my own share, then I'm not going down without a fight. That is what this fight is about. It's not really law. The law is clear. All these people are criminals. Let Nigerians begin to know that. We have to begin to ask ourselves the pertinent question. Who are we?
Magwa, let's get a question in. Magwa.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Well, first of all, I think Honorable Leo Ogo did say that, that question of immunity in terms of what is said on the floor of the House, does not exist, because I think it was challenged in the court of law, and the court ruled that there is no such thing as immunity for members, even for, things spoken on the floor of the House. Well, that's on the one hand. On the other hand, people are looking at this, the provisions of Section 81 of the Constitution, and they think that perhaps the courts should be a bit clearer, should help interpret this part of the Constitution, because it doesn't seem to be clear as to, what role is which role, who plays what role. The members of the National Assembly say that they do have powers to move money around. They have the power of the purse. You say they don't have that power. What exactly do the members have powers for?
They have power of oversight. They have power to ensure that the budget is implemented as passed. They do not have power to allocate funds, because in the first instance, it is the executive that knows the funds that are available for the execution of projects within a given year. So now, when they now pass the budget, the oversight function dictates that the members of the respective houses of assembly, they can monitor the implementation. They can go to places where these projects are being implemented, for instance, the Lagos-Ibadan Express, to ensure that every kobo that was allocated in the budget is spent on that project. It is not for you in sitting in the house. You have no business moving money around, because you are not even
Mr.
supposed.
Oloyede, some of your colleagues disagree with you on that particular count. I think it's Mr. Femi Falana who only recently was quoted as saying that members can only decrease, they cannot increase amounts allocated to line projects. But sometimes the controversy has been whether or not members can even introduce new line items, not about whether they can increase or decrease monies meant for projects. They take that power for granted.
Now, to the extent that you are talking of new line items, I agree with you. This is what has happened in this particular regard. What they are doing is, this particular project, they were not projects that were originally conceived by the executive. It does not fall within the office of a lawmaker. I mean, the simple definition of the people we're talking about, they are lawmakers. Yes, I agree that the budget is an act of parliament. It's a law that comes every year. Now, new line projects are not supposed to be brought in by you. If the government, if the executive, if they introduce a project, and you feel that based on what we are expecting as income from oil, which is the only thing we have anyway, we may not be able to fund this project, or that the project that you are putting here, why don't you put it here? It's better here. For instance, the what's it called, the university issue for the Niger Delta, that raised a lot of controversy. It should be in the north, it should be in the south. Those are issues they can talk about. But it is not for you to now create a project, water borehole for Taraba or wherever, that was not originally conceived by the executive. It's not right.